I have a quick tutorial for you. I've got another SVG that I designed. It's a football helmet, football split, where you can do the word down the middle. And if it works out, I haven't tried cutting it out yet, but after I do it, if I find out that it works well, and after any editing I need to do to it, I will then upload or offer the SVG on my Etsy shop. So this is for anyone that purchased that and needs help uploading it or editing it or cutting it out or anything like that, or for anyone that just needs help learning how to upload things to Cricut or Silhouette Studio, because I am first going to show you on Cricut Design Space and then on Silhouette Studio. So let's get started. We want a new project, upload image, browse. Now I am on a MacBook, so everything is going to be different. I go to downloads. I know what it's called, football helmet split, my design. That just helps me and remember what it is. But you can also just scroll your downloads and look for it. And there it is right there. So I'm going to open it. I'm going to continue and then upload again. And I don't know why it does this. It opens up those images. Okay, so it is all grouped together when it comes in. I would suggest go ahead and size it. Now it says 7 inches wide. I think my dogs might fixing to be barking. But that's including varsity over here on the right. So if you look, it's about 6 inches wide. If you go here, it's a little over 6. So, you may want like 5.5 or something. So you can kind of go, if you put it in the corner here, you can tell that, like right there is 5.5. So about right there. That's up to you. You can go ahead and size it, and that might help you out if you're using varsity or senior. Now here is where you want to ungroup it, and let's say you don't want senior, so move the senior, and I size these. They both fit in that space. I can't get that centered. Not that it matters, once you cut it out, you're doing it yourself, but I want to give you a visual. So there's what varsity would look like, kind of. It's not perfectly in there. Let's see. If you wanted that longer, you can, I'm pretty sure you can go ahead and, yeah, you could unlock that and you could alter the height a little bit. But let's go back. You're not including the offset when you do it like that, so you would want to come back over here with it, and then can you group it together? I've been in Silhouette Studio a lot lately. Yeah, you can group it together. Now bring it back over here and unlock that and go longer if you want to. And then you'd want to ungroup that again. So however you want to do that, that's a little, I think that's a little too long. We can just back pedal. And yeah, I think it went from 4 to 4 to 1. And go like that. Now ungroup it again. Now let's say you want a different color. I like to pick colors as close as possible, because then it just, when you're cutting them out, it reminds which color of cardstock or glitter cardstock to get out. So you can change the colors to whatever you want. You can add more offsets if you want. Just highlight it and go to offset. And you know, there's 0.25, there's 0.2 if you wanted. Go back to black, see, however you want to do this. You could also take away an offset, you know, if you don't like any of the offsets. Here's the offsets. Oops, grabbed the wrong thing. Try to grab the white. There we go. Oh, I hate when it does that. It's not going to let me grab it for some reason. Anyway, there it is. So here's all your sections. So you're going to have 2 offsets here if you do it like this, and then you're going to have this top layer. This is, of course, is offset. I think it makes it stand out a little bit more, offsetting those letters. That's just my opinion. You can just go back. Again, see, I was pretty perfect at 5.5. Pretty close. You could make this, again, the whole design, if you're wanting it a little taller, you can make it a little taller. You can go and make that a little shorter. No, I don't like that. Whatever you want to do to alternate it. You don't have to keep it exactly how I have it. You can make it a little squattier. Whatever you want to do. Like I said, I have not tried cutting this out yet. I did design this, so I bought a football helmet. This football I had already designed. I just cut it in half, and then I really altered all of this because it was a bunch of little pieces. So I cut the helmet in half, and then I simplified this quite a bit. I got rid of some pieces. I welded some pieces together. I kind of stretched this out so it connected. So this whole piece right here should be one piece, and then this whole piece should be one piece, and then this, and this. So it should be 5 pieces, which isn't horrible. Hopefully not. Like I said, I haven't tried it yet. And then this side is just one piece. The black offset is one piece. See, that's simple. The letters are going to be a little tedious, but not a big deal. And then I went, like I said, I went ahead and did senior and varsity because those are 2 usually that I see a lot, that people want something on the flower that represents, you know, either they're a senior or they're on varsity football. Now you can you can get rid of these and add whatever word you want. I would suggest, if you get this, here's what I would do. I would save it like this without, you know, making any changes to the offsets or anything. And then, you know, like do football helmet split, whatever you want to call it. Oops. Save it. Okay. Now make any changes, add different words, you know, like maybe you're going to make one for somebody named Jason. So you can get rid of these because you're not using that for his. And then we're going to go to bookmark, and the font I used was rustic brown. I like it because the center of the A is a little bit bigger. I have some other like jersey type fonts, and some of those, the what am I trying to do here? I don't want that. I still am not used to this popping up here over here since they updated that. Anyway, you know, like I have one called college. There's one that's like sporty T or something, but the little triangle in the A is so tiny it drives me crazy. So I really like this rustic brown. I'm probably going to use that one more this year. All right, I'm trying to remember. Like I said, I haven't been doing a lot in Cricut Design Space because I'm really trying to get comfortable with Silhouette Studio, so I've been using it a lot. Alright, so line space, that's what I want. So everything's in different places, some things are called different things, and it's just getting used to all that. So I'm just going to keep squishing this in as much as I want. I like them pretty squished in where there's just a little bit of room. And now let's see, we're going to make that black, and then we're going to offset it. Now in Silhouette Studio I did 0.075, but it's not going to match up the same on Cricut. It just doesn't. Their offsets are not the same. Now I want to get rid of those holes. You may want to keep that one, but definitely I'm sorry, get rid of those two. So go down to contour, and you can hide all contours. That's what I'm going to do. It might be too big, we will see. You don't have to do that black, you might want to do that white. How did I, oh, on the other one I had it, I had that as the kind of reddish burgundy, whatever color that is, and I had that as black. So you can do these however you want. Heck, you could do 3 offsets if you did them really fine. I'm going to show you something else too here in just a second. So we're going to make that just a little bit smaller. Try to fit that in there. It's going to be a tight fit, but you don't have to, if you're okay with redoing the offsets, you don't have to try and squish it in there. It's up to you how you want to do that. Oh. And actually, I don't know why I didn't group this together. Just for, you know, doing the edits, trying to get it in there how I want. So, group it together. Now let's, if you're, you know, you look and you're like, okay, the height is where I want it. If it is, if you want to make that a little smaller, and then you can do the width a little bit more. I don't like it super skinny though. Now you can also, it might be, what am I trying to say? It looks like it's going this direction a little bit. I'm going to lock that again. Why isn't it giving me... You know how you can turn it just a little bit one way or the other? It's not giving me that option. I don't know why. But when you cut this out, you're going to be attaching this yourself, so it doesn't have to look perfect in there. I don't understand why it's not giving me the little option on the corners to turn it, just so I can see how it's going to look. But if you want to, if you don't like the space, if it's not working for you for your name or your font, just redo it. Just come over here and do this. Huh. Why doesn't it, did they change that? You know, when you come to the corners and it'll let you move it this way or that way. Weird, weird, weird. Okay, so we're going to come over here, and then we'll get rid of my offsets, because if you redo the spacing, that offsets are not going to work for you. So maybe you want it spaced out a little bit more. That's fine. Maybe you don't like, maybe you want a little bit more offset. We can go a little, we could even go 1. Let's see what that looks like. And I like it to come out a little bit more than the helmet, just to kind of stand out a little more. Whatever you prefer is fine. I don't know what's going on with the corners. That's bugging me because I really want to move it in a little bit this way. I don't know if it's, I mean, I've never had an issue like that before, even from designs that I brought in. I got a phone call, and of course it started working while I was on the phone, and now it's not going to work again. I wonder if it has something to do, it shouldn't have anything to do with screen recording, but I was playing around with it, moving it, and it was working just fine. You see it's doing, but the little corner thing was coming up, and now it's not. That is so weird. And the only thing I'm doing is screen recording. Okay. Do you know, you just put your cursor like around the corner and it'll show it. I'm going to stop recording again and see if it works again. I lost this portion. I lost several of these videos and had to remake them. Anyway, where I left off was right here. Nope. Looks like I had more than one offset. Okay. So I was around here adjusting this where I wanted it. I'm actually going to delete those. And I was trying to see if it would turn these when I wasn't screen recording. And yes, it will let me turn that when I'm not screen. Oh, kind of showed it for a second. I don't know why it's like glitching when I'm screen recording. I don't know what that would have to do with it, but for some reason it won't. So if you don't know, if you get up here by the corners, you can see it flash for a second. It'll let you turn this way or that way. So if you need to kind of turn it this way or kind of turn it that way, you just have to get up here in the corners and it'll let you do that, except when you're screen recording. So anyway, you've got this when you get it, you know, how you want it, when you've got the spacing and everything where you want it, you feel like you've got this as far down and far up as you want, everything's where you want it. Go ahead and highlight it and then start making some offsets. So whatever size offsets you want to make. There's two. Oops. I don't know what I did. Okay, start over. So I'm going to do 0.15, see what that looks like. Apply that, and I think I did white with those colors. And that drives me nuts, how it won't let you just grab the back layer. I guess you could bring it to the front and then grab it, couldn't you? Alright, so I want to get rid of, I don't know where that little dot was, but yeah, we want to get rid of that, and I want to get rid of that. We can leave, I know that one's fine, we can leave that one too, I think it'd be okay. Oop, forgot I moved that piece. Okay, so just move it back. You can see there's, with the J, it's coming down a little bit right there. You can, if that bugs you, you can come back and make a really small offset. Let's do like 0.05, enter, apply. I think that's still going to do the same. No, that's better. Let's delete that one. Now there's just a little triangle. If you want to get rid of that, you can. But you see that's more even. It doesn't come way down. Those bug me when it comes down like that. Alright, so do another offset. And you could do 0.2 if you wanted to. I don't like how it's doing that right there. 0.1, let's see, 0.75. It's almost too much. Let's do 1.25. Oh. Yeah, I like that better. And then I'm going to do that in burgundy. however you like the offsets. But just, I would suggest doing at least 2 offsets and then duplicating a layer, make it thicker. I mean, we've got 3 layers going on here. Oop, dadgummit. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll try that again. This drives me nuts in Cricut. Alright, so there's 3 layers, then this would be the 4th layer. And of course you've got 1 extra layer here. Like I say, you could duplicate any of those layers too to make it even, make it stand out even more. What I'm trying to say. I feel like you could go bigger with that. Is it just me? Or taller, I guess I mean. OMG. Oh, I fight with Cricut all the time, y'all. Let's see. Yeah, I would definitely do that. Go a little bit bigger. Get it as squished in there as you can. That's my opinion anyway. But I would definitely offset the name. It makes it, not only does it make it stand out, but it makes it easier to attach those individual letters too. That is just my opinion. But yeah, I hope that helped. So I'm going to save that again because I had already saved it, even though I'm not going to use the person's name. But what I wanted to show, I know what I didn't show. You know, I had saved the original image, and so now that I did a different version with a name, I would save as, and that's what I did. When you do save as, it's automatically going to go football helmet split -1 is what it's going to put in automatically, and I erased the 1 and put in Jason. So if you were doing several different names, you know, just if you ended up making several of these with different names, I would, you know, make sure you put the person's name in. That'll help you find it. But make sure you do save as, because if you just save it, then you would have it would have saved this over the original one that said senior and varsity. But not like you couldn't bring it back in, but all that work would have been undone. So make sure when you make changes to an offset, to an original cutout, make sure you save it as and something different so you get both of them, so you save both of them. This is my second attempt at filming this part. I filmed it and you know, voiceover or talking during it, and it didn't get saved. I lost it. Very frustrating. So I'm trying this again. Hopefully this time it'll save. Okay, so I've got Silhouette Studio open again. I've got Business Edition. I'm not going to remember what I've already said and what I haven't, since I lost that first one. So I am just going to pull up that design. You can scroll or you can type it in like I showed earlier. There it is right there, both of those. Now I have it, instead of just one with both words, I have 2 helmets. Nope, that's not the right one. That's a different one that I have. Let me try that again. Okay, it's the green one. There it is right there. So I just went ahead and made 2 helmets, one for each of them, because I did cut, since filming the first part and losing the second part, I have cut these out since then. And they did work. They were great. They were not too difficult. You know, there's a little bit of tedious work with it, but it was not too difficult at all. I think the letters were probably the worst part. All right. So it is all grouped together, and I want to ungroup up here just to show you all these different parts. So again, there's the senior with the offset. Here's the football helmet, and then, I'm sorry, there's the football and the football helmet. I'm going to also ungroup the football helmet to show you all those different parts so you can see what needs to be glued together. So those are the different parts that need to be glued together. And what I did when I was assembling these is I think I set this on the football helmet because it's a little difficult to tell exactly where it needed to be, so I just set it there, didn't glue it first. This was the part that I glued first, right here, because you know where that needs to go, and so that's going to help be a guide for everything else. And then I know this piece goes inside of it and it sticks out a little bit. And you can kind of set them all in there and then glue it if you want to, just to make sure you got everything where you want it. So it is kind of like a puzzle piece. When you've got different, pieces like this, it is like putting together a puzzle. And then I'd make sure I had enough room for this offset, and then I would really start gluing everything. But like I said, this piece was the first piece I glued. That just really helped me on where everything else needed to go. Very simple. Now that is, there's the offsets. I'm going to group that back together so I don't have to do all those individual pieces again if I move it around. All right, I'm going to move this over here. Move these offsets over here. Okay, if you don't like my offsets, and let's say you're doing senior, put that where you want it. Like that. And then, make sure you've got it exactly where you want it. I'm just doing this very quickly. It's not going to be perfect. But if you want to do your own offsets, you're more than welcome to delete my offsets and do your own. That's 0.2 right there. So I'm going to apply and do white. I think white looks the best with those colors. And now I'm going to move all that down here because you see that little piece and that little piece are just going to be too small for cutting. So I'm going to go to modify. I'm going to release. I'm going to delete that piece and delete that piece. And then I'm going to highlight it again and make. So I want that cut piece in there. Now let's move the stuff back up there. And I still recommend like duplicating a layer. That white one would be a good one to duplicate. If you duplicate this top layer, then you're gonna, just remember you gotta have to line up all those little pieces of the helmet. So be careful of that. Maybe you want the senior to stand out a little bit more. If you do the letters, if you duplicate the letters, just remember you're gonna have to line the two, sets as close together as you can so it looks good. Duplicating this offset would probably be a better option, and then it would make it stand out more because that's going to be very easy to glue two of those pieces together. And then okay, so let's do, you could make that solid if you wanted right there. If you didn't like that cut, you could go ahead and release that. See how much easier it is on Silhouette Studio to pull those offsets out. Cricut won't let you do it for some reason. So release again, and if you're not keeping any of those, just move your helmet like that and then delete that. Much easier. So you could just do the one offset if you wanted to. but I would duplicate it just to make it a heavier duty cutout. I am going to give it another offset. I like to do different offsets. I had to pause it for a while because everybody was in the house making noises. Okay, so we just made this offset. I would suggest doing green if you're going to keep the colors the way they are, because there's not much green. There was only the senior with the green. And then again, you can size this, make sure you highlight the whole thing, size it wherever you want. I'm thinking 5.5 because, like for me, when I make garters, I usually use a 5.5-inch flower. Whatever size you're using. So, and that, you just remember 5.5 is from here to there. So it's not like this part right here is 5.5. You've got this part coming out, and then so it goes from this edge right here to this edge that sticks out the furthest on the right. So if you want to think about it like that, like there's 5 inches right there. So you just got this little bit and this little bit sticking off if you're thinking about 5 inches. So just think about it that way. I actually go bigger than what I think I need usually, because for me, most of the time, these cutouts aren't as big as I think they're going to be. Now, sometimes they're much bigger, but for the most part, the last couple of years at least, I've been going bigger than what I thought I needed, and I've been much happier with that. So, again, like I showed on Cricut, if you wanted to stretch this out a little longer, you could. And you can go like this. That is going to stretch it. That's going to stretch the word. That's not really sizing. So sizing is going to be like this. But if you do this or this, you're stretching it or making it squattier. So remember that it is going to affect the design a little bit. So be careful like how much you're doing. I'm not even going to save this. I don't care what I'm doing to it right now. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just delete that one. Delete these. Put this one over here. Do the varsity one. Okay. So again, we want to show somebody's name. Let me get out of those. So we go over here, and let's see what I did. Jason on the last one. Let's do someone else's name. We could try a short name. It's not going to be as easy to do. Whoops, the caps lock. So I'm going to enter. Well, I thought I did caps. Okay. M. All right. Let's go ahead and make that black or green, whatever you want to do. I just want to be able to see it better. And I'm going to pull up fonts. And I want to click that, the spacing, or that's not the spacing, this is the spacing. But there, see, you can change those all around. I want that one because I want them centered. And then, I'm trying to remember what letters or fonts I've got. So college is a good one. What was it? Rustic brown is what I used for those, for varsity and senior. Now normally I would do my character spacing. It's not going to do anything there, but line spacing, normally I would squish those together like varsity and stuff, but since it's a short name, you see you might want to space it out more since it's a short name. And I hate M's and W's because they are so much wider than the rest. You can go like this, you can make it squattier, but you're going to make the T squattier. You got to remember that. So what I do sometimes is I get rid of that, and then it's not what I wanted to do. Oh goodness, this is going to irritate me. I just want to move you. Okay. It is not going to let me add an M, is it? There it goes. Okay. So what I do sometimes is make that separate, and then go ahead and make that squattier, or squish it together some. And then, where is it? Go to Align. And no, I don't want to do that. Which one is it? I always forget. Nope. Anyway, I think that will work anyway. Yeah, that looks pretty centered anyway. Oops. I just want Tim. I'm putting it on the edge of the mat so I can see like how well I centered that M. Alright, let's try it again. I think it needs to be just a little bit over. And then also, does it need to be down a little bit too? Alright, let's group together. Yeah, that is much better. So you see, it's not going to fill in that whole space there. And that may be too far apart for you. May not like that. Up to you. Just to show you some other colors. And I don't want to do very much of an offset. I want to keep the offset small. And you could do black, or you could do green. See how that looks. And it's a little too wide now because of the offset. So we could just squish it in a little bit if we wanted to, or we could completely, make them smaller and then do the offset. Make the whole thing smaller. That's still really tight. So, let me go back. So this is where you could just go ahead and get rid of that. Get rid of that. And then just space this out more. It's up to you, like how you want to do this, what you think looks best. Alright, now highlight all of it and let's do an offset and see how that looks. But we're going to do a bigger offset. Let's do 0.2 and see how that looks. Apply it. Let's do white. So with the shorter name, it doesn't come down as far, and I knew that was going to happen. Let's offset it again and see what it looks like. And we'll do the green on that one. So you've got this going on. I actually think that, oops. I'm thinking those should be black. I forgot to group those together. Not a big deal, but if I try to just move that, it's not going to work. There we go. So you've got this to deal with, but I mean, it is what it is. Another option, let's just see if we can just go back. How far it's going to let me go back. I was hoping to go back to where the offsets were. I already had the offsets, but it's not going to let me do that. Okay. So another option would be now it's not going to let me make any changes. It sees this as a image now, and it won't let me make any changes. So that's why I say I can't go back and look at a font name, because it no longer sees it as a font. See, it won't let you look that up. All right, so I'm going to try it again. And this should be great. Yep. All right. See these stars? We could make little stars. Not very big though. And you could duplicate that. Okay. There. See, you could do something like that. Go ahead and offset that again. Make that black. Now, okay, so I had that star closer than I had that one. See that? And I can see that now. So I'm going to ungroup that. It just depends, do you want that one to stick out more? It's going to bring it down a couple, and I'm going to go down one with that one. Make it a little bit more even. Group it together again. Try this again. Offset again. Alright, that's much better. I can't tell if that's connected or not. I don't think it is, but so you would have to attach that piece separately. It still wouldn't be too bad. I don't like the stars now that it's offset. I think they need to be smaller or more spaced out or something. Like, it was okay like this, but once I offset them, I wasn't happy with them. I don't want to make them too small, because then they'll be much more difficult to attach. And I don't understand why it won't let me align. Why does it do that? I know when I put middle, it's going to do that, or center. Oh, there we go. So that's the one I needed. align center is what I needed. Now group it together again. Let's just try to offset it again. Some of these take a lot of time to design. Okay, it's still connected at the bottom there. That is better, but again, I don't like the star being connected. I don't know about y'all. Sometimes I spend way too much time nitpicking with this stuff. And I did not mean for this video to be this long, but I want to show y'all some different things you can do and how you can customize things. I'm going to go ahead and group all that together just so it's easier for me to move it around. Okay, I'm going to squish that in there a little bit, because that way when I cut it out, or if you cut it out and you assemble it, I'm not cutting this out, but if I was, it would be a lot easier knowing where to put everything if it's squished in a little bit more. And I don't want too much space, but that's up to y'all. If you like it with more space, then make it with more space. There is no right or wrong way. Just whatever looks best to y'all. Alright, let's go ahead and do 2 again for the offset. And we're doing white again. So that looks better. You know what you could do too? Again, I would get rid of that piece. If you don't like the stars, let's ungroup that. Oop, wrong layer. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to ungroup that. Group that. Nope, I want to group it, not ungroup it. What other designs are there? Okay. Ah. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. I think you might get what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm going to duplicate that. Move that one. This isn't going to be perfect, but okay. Let's see if this works. Offset the helmet. That way I've got, look at that. Instead of it coming way up because his name is short. Because if I offset it like this is what it's going to look like. See how weird that is? Oop, I didn't mean to do that either. And that's weird. I don't like that. I don't like this. So using that made it so it was like this. So it was more of a helmet shape. And then, well, let me get rid of, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all of them. See, there was way more than I thought there was too, all those little cuts. Get rid of those. Put that back where it needs to be. Like I said, you can do the colors however you want. You don't have to do them the way I do them. You could make the helmet green. Now I'm going to do this layer green. Now let's go back and offset Tim. Ooh, supposed to be a 0 there. Like that. You do have some, space in here, but it's up to you what you like better. And that's a little squished together. You could space that out a little bit more. Let's see if it'll still, nope. I don't understand. Maybe if it's ungrouped. Nope. So that's okay. We can just do it manually like this. Offset it again. Black. Group that together. Just so if I have to move it around, I'm not moving individual pieces. There. You could even do like a couple of small circles right there if you wanted to. Just a couple of really small circles, no big deal. You'd have to keep up with them. But it kind of fills in the space and draws more attention to Tim. You can offset it if you want to, but see there's like a circle there. There's a part of a circle there, so I'm just thinking that just kind of draws some attention to it. You also, oh, this would be neat. Let's see if I can figure out how to do it. I know how to do it. I'm just like thinking of the best way to do it with, I think moving all this around would be the best way. Okay, if you know you've got them exactly where you want them, go like this, go to modify and subtract. And that will cut circles into that layer. Now put all this back. So you're not trying to attach two little circles, cutouts. First of all, you're trying to, weed them and save them and make sure you don't lose them. And then trying to attach them in a perfect spot. You've just cut a circle in that white layer, so the green is going to show through. Simple, so much simpler. That's definitely what I would suggest you do if you're going to do something like that. But I think doing those circles really helps make Tim stand out. Don't worry about, deleting all that. You've got it saved, you've got it downloaded to your hard drive, so you can bring those in anytime you're working. You can drop those in and work on those. So you can make them over and over again. You can go ahead, like when you first drop them in, like bring it over here and just save to your library. And then you could do senior helmet, wherever, and save just the senior helmet, and then also save just the varsity. I did notice that you have to, when you go to save, that you have to have it on the mat and then highlight what you want to save on the mat. Like I've tried to save something that was over here and it just saved a blank screen. So you do have to have it on the mat and then highlight it and then save that. So you could save that as varsity helmet and then pull them up whenever you need to use them. But I do like that with the circles. I like that better than the stars. And with the star, if you did like the stars, you could do the same thing where you subtract it in that layer. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that for a little bit, but yeah, that would be super simple to do. So you could do the other, like I said, you could do the other layer with the stars, just subtract it, and then you would have stars cut in there and you wouldn't have to worry about keeping up with those little stars. And it would add a little something right there that draws attention to his name. And then again, if you are doing, oops, let's try this again. I do that every time, it drives me crazy. All right, so again, we want to do that. Let's do college on that one. So let's adjust. I don't want them on top of each other, but I want them pretty squished up. Now, if I go like this, then that's going to make them really small. So even like width-wise, they're smaller. So you could go like this and make it wider. It's going to distort the letters a little bit, but I like that better than the letters being really, really small. And let's offset. It's a little longer than the helmet. Okay. First of all, let me make sure. Okay, I like those two cuts. There's a cut right there I don't like. It's harder when it's black to see that. So a lot of times I will change the color to white so I can see them. Now I'm going to highlight that again and make. And we can make that just a little bit shorter if we want. Again, you do not have to do this the same way I am doing it. Do it however you think it looks good. Whatever looks good to you is the right way, okay? I'm just trying to give you ideas. If you if there's some things you don't know how to do on here that I'm showing, I'm still learning Silhouette Studio. I'm trying to work with it constantly. I'm going to move that out just a little bit more. I still have a lot to learn on here, but I'm trying. I'm going to offset this. But we're going to do 2. Apply. I'm going to do the white again. And that looks pretty darn good. We could have went up a little bit, actually, with the T. I thought I highlighted that. All right, let's try that again. Again, we're going to go white. Yeah, I like that better. And I want to get rid of at least that one. Oops. Gotta have it highlighted. Delete. Highlight. Make sure that that highlights too. Make. And if you don't like that cut, then just get rid of that too. Offset again. Offset. Offset. Green. Green. There we go. And you can do as many offsets, as big or as small as you want. Whatever you think looks good. You want to do another one, do another one. So whatever you think looks best. I'm not here to tell you which way you should do it. And then, you know, whatever size you think it needs to be. If you're doing a 5.5 inch flower, go as big as 5.5. I wouldn't go any smaller than 5. Now, if you're curious how I did this, I'll give you a quick little rundown of how I did that. It took me quite a while, so I'm just going to quickly do this. Here's the football I used, and this is a football I designed because I wanted one that had space for me to do like their jersey number or a football player or something. Okay, what I did was, let's see. I tried to line that up, make that straight, and I put it over here. I think I did go like this because I didn't want to cut the laces off. So I did something like this, and then I did the eraser that is square, and I just went down and erased. Like I said, I'm going to do this very quickly. I'm not going to be straight. And that's okay. So I did the sharp points on that one, so I don't know. I messed that up a little bit. And see how jagged that is. And I did do this too. So I think you can manipulate this a little bit, like if you want to try and make that more pointy, I think you can do that from here. I've only started playing with this a little bit. Rachel Lanybug helped me out with this, showing me some of this stuff. I'm going to try and simplify that and see if that helped. See, it helped a little bit, so you can just keep kind of manipulating this. And now I've got a little thing on there. That helped a little bit. And then the same thing with these, like now I've got a little line coming off. So I did have to play with this quite a bit. Like I say, when I was erasing though, I was being really, really careful with the erasing. I don't know if you can go all the way down and then, let's see, make flat maybe. I didn't do anything. Simplify. It's a little better, except for that line that I made before. So just, you know, I really had to sit here and play around with it. But I did, when I cut it in half, I did have 2 sharp points, so I didn't have to worry about that. But with this line, making it straight, I did have to play around with this part, and I just kept, you know, messing with it until I had a straight line. But that's basically what I did. Same with the helmet. I just got a helmet. I put it over the line where I thought, and I just erased that part, and then, you know, like messed around with the point editing to get it as straight as possible. So that's how I did that. It was tedious, but it wasn't difficult at all. But I hope this video helped. If you want this design, I do have it on my Etsy shop, the SVG. You're more than welcome to purchase it. So now you know how to, you know, make it your own, whether you have Cricut or Silhouette Studio. You know how to play around with it and design it and personalize it. So you can use the varsity that I have or the senior, or you can make some, you know, use somebody's name. I hope that really helped and you understood it and it made sense and it helped you with other cutouts that you design or that you purchased from somewhere else. I hope that you learned a few things, or it helped simplify a few things. I feel like I made it more difficult, but I hope not. If you have any questions, please comment. Like I said, I did this video over several days because I'd lost this original video on Silhouette Studio, so I don't remember everything that I did on Cricut Design Space. I hope I covered everything that you need. Like I said, if you have any tips, if you saw something I did on Silhouette Studio that you're like, hey, you could do this, it's a lot easier, please let me know, because like I said, I'm still new. I've been using Silhouette Studio a lot this year, like 2025. I've been making most of my cutouts on Silhouette Studio just so I can really get comfortable with it and just keep learning new things. And I do, and people will also have helped out by giving me tips, and I watch other people's videos, so that helps too. But it's definitely a learning process. I still don't know how to do everything in Cricut Design Space either, so if you see something over there that I didn't do or that's simpler, go ahead and let me know. I don't have Cricut Access anymore, so I'm limited to what I can do. But like I said, I do have Business Edition of Silhouette Studio, and I do highly recommend that. If you do have, you have Cameo or Portrait or whatever you're using, and you're using Silhouette Studio, I definitely recommend doing Business Edition. You just have to pay for it one time. That's it. And even if you are a Cricut person, if you notice there's things you can do with Silhouette Studio Business Edition that you can't do with Cricut Design Space. There's a lot more things like this trace. When you bring in like a logo or something, this trace right here is a must-have to pull parts of the design out. And you can't do that on the free edition. You can only do that on the Business Edition. But I bought it, and it was on sale. I want to say like a Black Friday deal or something, and I want to say it was like half off. I can't remember for sure because I've had it for a couple of years at least. But when you can use Silhouette Studio and still not have a Silhouette machine. If you're using a Cricut machine, you can still do Business Edition Silhouette Studio, and whatever. So you design this, but now you need to cut it out on your Cricut. So you just highlight it, you go up here, you save selection, you save it to your hard drive. Again, I have a MacBook, so you name it and then do SVG and OK, save it. I'm not going to save it. So it'll save it whatever you title it as. It'll save it as an SVG, and then you pull it up on Cricut Design Space, which I have several videos showing how you pull up downloads or upload something up on Cricut Design Space. And all these layers, all you have to do is ungroup it when you bring it into Cricut Design Space. That way you can pull out all these layers and cut them out individually. So it's very simple. So if you like all the stuff you can do on Silhouette Studio, you feel like you could design on there much better, I would recommend buying Business Edition even if you have a Cricut. And I'd heard that over and over again when I was just a Cricut user, and I finally jumped on board. I didn't want to learn a new program. That was the thing. Learning a new program is always stressful for me, but now that I'm comfortable with it, it's okay. It just takes some time. Just start out slow and basic. But anyway, like I said, if you are interested in this helmet design, you're more than welcome to purchase it on Etsy. I think it's like $4 for the SVG, and you can do whatever you want with it. You can't resell the design. You can make whatever you want with it and redesign it however you want to and make all that kind of stuff. But yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Happy mom making, happy crafting, y'all, and be kind to yourself, be kind to others. God bless.